Yes, we're back with another episode, another rider. Today we have Angus, sorry,
Almost
in the house, and he's a photographer from up north. And we would do this video, by the way, but it's night time, so we can't. Obviously, winter's coming. Game of Thrones. But anyway, back to the point. Do not forget to like, subscribe, and follow. There's obviously, we publish every day. So, how do you get into photography? And why photography?
Well, I do have to make a slight correction to the job title.
Okay.
So I'm manager of photography studio.
All
I
right.
don't make any money for myself yet from photography.
But you're still doing the work.
But I'm doing the work around that. So mainly I'm sort of in client management, I'd say, at the moment.
All right. So how did you get into that
shoots.
industry?
I'll tell you what, mate, I didn't really know. I sort of fell into it a little bit. I was working in a pub, and I'm always quite a chatty person, and ended up having sort of some bloke come in with his dog who just fancied having a chat with him, and after about an hour and a half, turned out he was the director of the company, and ended up offering me a position there, pretty much on the spot, just for talking well.
Yeah, how did that conversation go? How did you sell yourself? And you, without knowing, obviously, so I don't think you knew who he was. How did that conversation go?
Honestly, it was more, you know what, he asked me how my day was going, and I was quite honest with him. I said it was a bit shit, to be honest. And the current guy I was working for wasn't, a great boss. So we sort of ended up talking about company cultures, because I'd had a previous job before that which also had a bad culture, and kind of what I wanted in a job. And I think he was sort of tapping me up anyway, but we ended up just getting on to what he did. And I've always found sort of the media industry quite interesting, and it just it seemed like an opportunity that you can't really turn down at the time. May as well take a dive into it, see what comes out. Been doing it for about a year and a half now.
Are you liking it?
Yeah, there were some tough days. There were some really long, sort of 15, 16-hour shifts. But the clients, the people I'm meeting, the space I'm in, I think, is such a creative space. And some of the shoots I get to see, are quite, honestly, I'd say quite inspiring, some of them.
So you meet these people. Do you actually get to speak to them, the famous people?
Yeah, most times. Definitely, because I'm sort of in control of the building. It's always sort of at the beginning of the shoot, just have a meet with them, take them around the building, show where they can go, show where they can't go.
So give us some names of people who've come through your place.
Name drops.
Yeah, we want to
flex
hear.
a bit. Yeah, I got you. So we've had some big people. We've had David Beckham. Recently had Cillian Murphy in, Idris Elba. Well, Kate Moss. Who else have we had? Richarlison, Kai Havertz.
Okay. So
Zlatan.
when these people, has anybody come in and you thought, you're not what I expected?
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
And
There's some absolute drama queens, mate.
Some drama queens.
Yeah, 100%. Naomi Campbell, one of the worst.
What was she?
So picky. It's like she needed to be isolated from any sort of human contact.
Is it? Do you reckon she plays that as a role? Like, this is her...
I reckon it's her team more than her.
Yeah, is it?
I think it's people try to it's like they're trying to protect her. But I find that with most celebrities that you don't really get to see much of. It's more that they've got a nervous assistant who is trying to impress, so they just don't want anyone interacting with them.
So they're trying to protect her from herself or her from other people?
For her from other people. I think they think that I'm going to be some sort of mega fan and try and go up to her and get her autograph immediately, and, when that's never really the case.
Do people still collect autographs, or they just say, do a selfie?
Do a selfie. It's a do a selfie, isn't it? Which might be even worse.
Because I interviewed, I had a long conversation with one of her hairdressers.
Oh, yeah?
And the hairdressers was a young girl. And basically it was her Naomi Campbell's niece. Naomi Campbell's from Streatham.
Yeah.
So it's her niece, a young black girl from Brixton. knows the niece, and the niece and the girl just said, "Oh, she's doing her hair, doing like hair at college or whatever." And the girl, and Naomi Campbell said, "I'll tell you what, you could do my hair. If you do it well, then you know." So when she did her hair, and Naomi Campbell was happy, and from that the girl got lots of work. But the girl said Naomi Campbell was very down to earth, very supportive.
See, I to be fair, I can imagine that she is quite nice when it's one-to-one. You're doing something like hair and makeup.
Okay.
But I think when you're trying to manage a building like I do, where you've got 70 crew members surrounding that shoot, it's a bit more difficult because I don't really deal with her directly. I'll deal with all the requests she might have, so whatever she needs cooked or what type of room she needs, what's on her rider, that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I only say that.
That's where they get picky.
Yeah, I only say that in support of what you're saying, where you say it's probably the team.
Yeah,
Do you see what
definitely,
I mean?
Definitely.
Because that's starting to build a picture for me as the taxi driver who just grabs interviews when he can.
yeah.
When he can. Okay, so have you ever had someone who you just thought, I wish this person wasn't here?
Pretty much, yeah.
That's quite common, eh?
Actually, tell you what, I've got a good story
Go on.
about a bit of a situation that I just find laughable still. We had, I think it's Gigi Hadid. It's one of the Hadid sisters.
I don't know who they are, but
yeah,
go on.
neither did I, mate. But they think they're the dog's bollocks. I'll tell you
What
that
do they
much.
do?
Modelling.
Okay.
Very big in the modelling world.
All right. That explains why I don't know anything about it.
She returned food to us because it wasn't yellow enough.
Was it meant to be a curry or something?
Mate, I don't even know. What does that mean? Have you ever returned food for not being a specific colour? I think that was the most ridiculous complaint I've ever had. Nothing about the taste, just it needed to be more yellow in colour.
You should have just got a fountain pen.
Yeah, exactly. Just ink a bit over it, send it back. Especially considering we've got.
So what did you? How
chefs.
was your response? Well, I guess she's not going to eat today, is she?
Honestly, I just took it to my chef that works at the studio as well, and we just both started laughing because it's just like, at what point is it just a bit stupid now?
I always see as returning food home as a danger to. I don't see that's wise. If you're going to return food, just say thanks, but I'm not. So I'm okay, and I wouldn't eat from that place again. Reason being is I don't know where the chef's mind's at.
yeah.
Do you see what I mean?
He's going to spit in your food.
Yeah, it's untold things. That can go
little
on.
surprise for you.
It's like insulting the waiter.
Yeah.
You don't insult the waiter.
Yeah,
You
it's
just say,
risky.
Thanks, this restaurant's not for me.
Yeah.
I'm certainly not going to leave you a tip. You can take the gravity thing off the bill or whatever. Do you see what I mean?
I mean, that's what I love about it. It's one thing to make a complaint, but a whole nother one to say it's not yellow enough.
Yeah, I hear.
But no, it's a decent gig. It's a decent gig.
So what's the future hold for you then? You see yourself in this job for long?
No, not much longer.
Why is that?
Well, I've worked probably yesterday and the day before, my first 2 days off in 9 days straight of night shifts.
Like through the night?
Yeah, which were.
So these models, these
14.
famous people are up through the night having photos taken?
No, it's not that. It's when the shoot finishes, we've got to reset the entire building before the next morning at around, the time that we're currently heading there now, around 6 a.m. So usually we're up till 2, 3, 4, 5 a.m. just repainting.
And do you normally start like 6, 7 in the morning?
No, so for the night shifts it's 2 p.m. till whenever you finish. And then the morning shifts it's around 6 a.m. till 2 p.m. most times.
I hear you.
It really depends on when the client wants to be in. If they want to be in at 4:30, I've got to be there about an hour earlier. So.
Now you're from Manchester.
I am.
What age did you move down to London, and why, and how, and what was the culture shocks or differences?
I can give you quite an interesting answer to that one. So I never lived in England.
Okay.
I was born up north, but I quickly my dad's job moves every sort of 5 years or so.
Mm-hmm.
So pretty much as soon as I was born, we moved to Spain. and then on to Bangladesh for a couple of years, and then on to New Delhi for about 6 years.
I take it your dad works for the government?
No, aviation. He works for Airbus.
Okay.
And then I moved to America, where I did most of my sort of high school.
How did you find life on the move in different schools? Were they international schools you were in?
Yeah, mostly international schools, but also international American. I kind of grew up in the American system.
Do you appreciate that system, or do you?
I think there's pluses, and everything has some downfalls, some real positives. I think the American school system is great because they keep you in maths, sciences, histories right up until you're 18. You can't really choose, which I think is a good thing because I don't think you really know what the hell you want at 16. But yeah, man, I loved moving. It definitely comes with not having a very good support system back home. When I came back to London, like you said, I came back in 2020. I didn't really have anyone in England who I knew personally or professionally, so that's always a bit more difficult.
There's also friendship circles.
Yeah, and you don't kind of hold on to them nearly as much, because if you think about it, you sort of come into someone's life for sort of 5-6 years, I'd say, and then I'd leave. So you make great friends, but you never really are there consistently enough, and I don't know, to cement really, really long-term friendships.
So you don't stay in contact with anybody via social media?
Definitely. I think as a sort of America, where I grew up most formative years, I think it was 12 to 18. Those were the years that I still try and keep in contact with all them, but time difference, working, it makes it a lot more difficult. So it was always a bit more difficult with that, but then again, I feel like I'm a lot more self-sufficient than sort of a lot of people in that sense.
Yeah, I understand that. When you came back to London, because you said you're born up north, so this is like your first spell really living in London.
Yeah.
Was there any culture shocks, any?
Tell you what, London feels more like home than anywhere else sort of lived. And I think the reason is that I've been so used to kind of international hubs.
Yeah, that makes
where
sense.
It's just a lot of different cultures. And that instantly endeared London to me. Just because I love the fact that, it just sort of made me feel way more at home. Up north, I went to university in Liverpool. I don't know, Liverpool's fantastic, don't get me wrong, the people are lovely, but it's a lot more just British.
Yeah.
And I actually felt there that I needed more of what London offers, which is just, I guess a sort of celebration of different cultures.
I'm with you.
Which sort of is evident in sort of the people I've met here, a lot of people from Spain, sort of French, Spanish, Portuguese, Brazilians.
So you've got skills of communicating across the board.
Yeah.
And that boss, the director, probably saw that in you from when you're talking.
Absolutely. I think that's probably the key thing.
So we're coming to the end of the journey.
Yeah.
If the world's standing in front of you, no pressure.
Yeah.
And they want some words of wisdom regarding communication and handling people, what nuggets would you leave them?
That's a good question. I think, what's made me a communicator, I think, is because I've always been put in a situation where I have to reintroduce myself. Moving around so much, you get put in that position where you're sort of consistently trying to grow a network. And I think the most important kind of aspect to that is taking the moment to sort of truly listen to someone. Sort of take those 45 initial minute to kind of understand someone, understand their culture, keep a very open mind to that. I think travelling is sort of the killer of ignorance. That can kind of open you up to you know, sort of understanding the differences and the similarities between you and someone else who might come from a completely different culture from you.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think sort of getting used to that is just being mindful of where they come from and the differences they might have, and, you know, appreciating that culture as well. I think that's probably what I come the most out of, you know, living in India sort of when I was as young as I was. Sort of grew up with a lot of their culture around me, and I always found it fascinating, and I think that's kind of where it started.
Okay. Well, thanks a lot for that, and we wish you well.
Yeah, cheers. Appreciate it.
We hope that episode enhanced your life. We post an interview every day as well as vlogging on our social media channels. Don't forget to subscribe to get our latest episode.